If you knew that there was something you can do to help prevent a family member from developing cancer, would you do it? And did you know that there's actually no biological need for a pet to keep its reproductive organs if you're not going to breed it? And actually, not having your pet spayed or neutered could do more harm than good. I've worked in a vet clinic for a while now, and I've seen all too often the repercussions of owners who don't want to get their pets spayed or neutered. Most often, their reasoning is, well, I don't want to hurt them, or I don't want them to be mad at me, things like that. And Cesar Millan actually has a great article where he talks about how we do something called humanizing our pets, in which people think that that's the reaction they're going to get by doing that. And frankly, that's just not how pets think. They don't come in and associate that experience with something that you projected on them. The reason we suggest that all pets get spayed or neutered if they're not used for breeding is to help prevent things such as hormone-based cancers, which include testicular cancer, prostate enlargement, breast cancer, mucometra, pseudopregnancy, and quite frankly, the worst that I've seen is something called a pyometra. Now, if you have a strong stomach, I recommend that you Google image pyometra and, kind of take a look at what it is. It's just, what happens is the uterus of a female will fill with pus and just engorge so bad to the point where it will almost rupture. And more often than not, what happens is by the time owners realize that it's happening because it's such a fastly progressive disease, that they'll come in having the pet only have these symptoms for just a few days and say, now she's not eating, now, she's just kind of lethargic, she doesn't feel right. And the first thing we always look for is if the pet is spayed. More often than not, if they're not, that's what it ends up being, which kind of makes the owners feel bad because sometimes the whole reason that they don't have their pet spayed is because they don't want them to go through surgery. Now they come in with this horrible disease, and the pet now has to go into emergency surgery and in what we consider a less desirable condition, but again necessary because it is emergency. Now, what exactly a pyometra is where the uterus fills with pus. And it gets this way because if you have a pet who's constantly going into heat and nothing's happening, meaning she doesn't hook up with another male, they don't have a normal period the way humans do, where they don't slosh off that extra lining all the way. So it kind of builds up and builds up and builds up over time to where that can get infected. And what literally happens is their uterus will fill with pus to the point where it's emergency surgery, because it will fill to the point where if we don't take it out, it will rupture. And that pus will sit and fill the lining of your pet's abdomen to the point where they will become septic, and it will ultimately lead to their demise. So that's a real big reason that we always suggest that females get spayed. With the males and the females too, but spaying or neutering your pet can kind of prevent a lot of those undesirable traits or behaviors that can develop in a pet that are kind of hormone driven more than anything. Things like peeing on everything because they have to mark their territory, aggression, even things like running away from home because their body wants them to mate. That's what they are genetically designed to do. So they will run away from home in order to find another pet to mate with. What we always suggest is the younger the better. Now, don't get me wrong, any age, I always suggest that you spay or neuter your pet, whether they be 3, 4, 6, 8, it doesn't matter. It's never too late to have your pet spayed or neutered. But we always suggest going a little bit younger. We don't start anywhere before 4 months, but we really like 4 to 5, maybe even 6 months, because that's the stage where they will kind of go into what we would consider puberty, where all those hormones are getting released, and we want to kind of cut that off at the pass, especially for the females, even the males too, but especially for the females, we don't want those hormones kind of sitting in there, which can lead to all that stuff in the uterus happening, even the fallopian tubes, which they do have just like people do. And with the males, once that testosterone starts raging, That's when they're going to get into the marking and the dominance and the aggression and all that kind of stuff that can really be kind of headed off with just having them spayed or neutered. Again, a lot of people worry about cost of the surgery. Again, you can't put a cost on the health of your pet, for me personally, but we always suggest that you do it sooner than later. Pets are put under anesthetic, which is dosed by weight. So the smaller you are, the less anesthetic you use, and in turn, the less cost it is for the anesthetic. Not to mention, their young bodies kind of bounce back very fast, actually. I've actually sat through probably over 200 spay and neuters, and almost every single time, depending on the older ones, it takes them a little bit longer to recover. But the puppies, especially, I mean, they wake up, they're ready to go. They most often than not don't need any pain meds to go home with because it's such kind of like a fast surgery. They really don't even notice. And again, the smaller the better, because it's the smaller the incision that we have to make as well. So again, we always suggest spaying and neutering your pets, because to me, you just can't put a price on your pet's health and happiness. And if you can do something to help Fido stay around and be as happy and healthy as he can be, why wouldn't you?